Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rupakwadash. The double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS, who rules well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of the video is Russia. Well, I wanted to title Russia jokes about 3 Atlas, which I believe is called the comet that they're tracking in space. And ultimately, I just wanted to, go into, ultimately the chariots, and I wanted to see kind of what Russia's thoughts on chariots were. I did a little bit of digging. I didn't really find anything, but Lord willing, if it so happens or whatnot, it'll come up in the future. But I don't really too much care, right? Because we know that the chariots are real, right? We know what the chariots are, right? They're the chariots of Yahweh Bashar Rashah. But I wanted to see what Vladimir Putin's take on the chariots and what he had to say about it. Like I said, I couldn't find anything, so maybe in the future he might say something about it. But nonetheless, like I said, we do know that this is the chariots of Yahweh Bashar Rashad, right? Let me grab this. This is Zechariah 5 and 1. It says that the title there says the flying roll or the flying scroll. And understand, that these, as a matter of fact, I'll probably go to the Bible Hub and see what they say about it. Because these devils put this thing together and they put here the flying scroll. So let me go there real quick. And I'll see what they say about it. All right. Yeah, what is it like two? We start at two. All right. So you got Cambridge here. Usually Ellie is right here for me. Cambridge is like way at the bottom somewhere, but I'll see what they say. It says Cambridge Bible for schools and colleges. All right. I turned, lifted up mine eyes and looked. Rather, I lifted up mine eyes again and saw a flying roll. Its flight signified a swift coming of punishment. Its flying from heaven, that the sentence proceeded from the judgment seat above. All right, and I'm just reading it. You can read along. You can see. I just want to see what they say about it. So we'll go to verse 2. Verse 2, the length thereof. It says, the roll was unfolded and opened out. The dimensions of the roll seemed merely to be mentioned as an expression of the prophet's wonder at its size. The beholder of such a strange apparition in the heavens would not unnaturally say how large he took it to be. Okay, we'll continue. We got 3 here. It says, earth by the land, i.e., the land of Judah. It says, everyone that still okay. Okay, it says, if we retain this translation, or on the one side, on the other side, it will mean that the rule was written on both sides, and that on the one side was inscribed the curse against those who broke the first table of the law, and on the other side the curse against those who broke the second table. Okay, they don't know what the hell is going on. That's fine. So it says here the flying scroll. Ultimately, this is a chariot, right? Zechariah 5:1, it says, then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For every one that stilleth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and everyone that swerves shall be cut off as on that side according to it. You know, to me, this is just like I said, a chariot, and it's a curse on the face of the whole earth because a lot of reasons. Yahweh Shah is going to come back with a chariot, and as we're going to go into this video, chariots come and they visit this place and they do different things. Sometimes they play with the leaders of the world by like following them around, you know, scaring them, making them scramble the jets, or they're clicking on and off the buttons to the nuclear missiles and things like that. Right? That's exactly what they're doing. It says, "I will bring it forth." So he's going to bring something forth, said the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shah, and it shall enter into the house of the thief. So the chariots are entering here now. It says, "And into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof." All right, so ultimately we know that the Most High Yahweh Bashem Shah is coming to set fire, right, to this place. Ultimately with the nuclear missiles, of course, but also from the laser beams from the chariots, which we're going to get those precepts because I have them. Right. All right. So, you know, we'll get the precepts. All right. So here's the video of the guy, you know, talking about the 3Iatlas, and like I said, he joked about it, which was interesting. So I wanted to see what he thought about the actual chariots. I looked at it, and I didn't find anything.
Hello, Kristina Smirnova, Tumenska Vrema TV channel, Tumen. I have a question about an unusual facility, 3Iatlas, that is now approaching us. And today, on the 19th of December, well, maybe it's a ship with an engine, maybe just a comet. Well, it will approach Earth. Well, the question is, what the special services tell you? Is it truly an artificial object? There are many theories about that. Tumen is the thermal capital of any of our country. If these are, we're ready to receive any guests, but these are guests from the space. Well, we're not sure about that. So this is the first time we are summarizing all the results on Friday. So, Mr. Putin, if you know about the existence of aliens, please blink an eye. Well, Christina, you said was your name. Well, what?
All right. So now he's responding, you know, to the question.
I'm going to say, but it should be strictly between us. This is secret information. This is our secret weapon, but we will use it only in a truly critical situation because we are against any weapons being deployed in space.
And you can see their fucking faces, right? It's all like, what the hell is this dude talking about? Because even when I was listening to it, it was like cringe. It was like, you know, what are you talking about? And he just basically says, "Oh, it's our secret weapon," you know. But he basically says it's nothing.
Our scientists know what is happening. This is a comet from another galaxy. That is why it behaves differently compared to the comets from our galaxy. It has a different surface. That is why when it is closer to sun, there are different processes happening on it. As well as regarding the tail of this comet, it has a different appearance. It's quite big, from 2 to 6 kilometers. Well, let's see. The moon is from us on the distance of 300,000 kilometers, and this object is 100, the hundreds of millions kilometers away from us. So we will send it to Jupiter. And in the beginning of the next year, this comet will go out of the solar system.
Right. So he basically says nothing. What's interesting is that he said we'll send it to Jupiter. But I was checking on chat just to ask chat some questions because ultimately, you know, in my personal humble belief, which, you know, I speak as a man, I don't believe that this comet is anything, they say it could be a chariot. Now, the possibility of it being a chariot is it could be possible, you know, but it's out here. It's on Front Street. You saw showing it around, la this, la that, right? And they also did this. Not, they did this multiple times already, right? Um, you have this one. This was the first one that took place. It was 2017, right? And this is what it looked like when it first arrived. And I remember this actually, when they had did that thing. And 2017 is actually the year that I woke up to the truth. Um, but anyway, this was the first time that they showed this type of, oh, there's something out there, the case may be. And this one is called what you see right there. I can't pronounce it. Uh, O OU Mua Mua, right? Right. So it's something like that, right? It says was the first confirmed interstellar object detected passing through our solar system in 2017. A mysterious elongated visitor from another star system, initially mistaken for an asteroid but behaving like a comet with non-gravitational acceleration, is kind of what they're talking about now with the the 3Iatlas thing. And mind you, they know, which we're gonna get into. They know about the true chariots, right? Which they know about the true chariots and how they move. They have videos. They have witnesses testifying about being engaged in combat. You could say, because really the chariots was playing with them, these the humans or whatever. But they have testimonies and things like that. It says initially mistaken for an asteroid but behaving like a comet with non-gravitational acceleration. That's what I'm saying. So they're saying things like this because that's how the chariots move, right? They just move, blinking of eyes, stop on a dime, all these different things that they do. So they're able to come up there and just say, yeah, it moves like this, moves like that, because it's far out of this world, because now they know about the chariots and how they move. It says challenging scientists with its unique shape, reddish hue, and unknown origin, sparking debate over whether it's a natural icy body or something more exotic like a nitrogen iceberg or even alien tech. Right. And then I asked that thing, where is it at now? It's nowhere to be seen. Right. Where is it now? It says far beyond the outer solar system, heading toward the constellation Pegasus, beyond Neptune and the Kuiper belt. It is too distant and faint to be seen, even with powerful telescopes like James Webb, which is supposed to be some type of powerful telescope. It says is permanently escaping into interstellar space on a hyperbolic path, estimated to have reached the edge of our solar system around late 2025, continue its journey away from us forever. All right. And so who knows when they added this part in there, right? It's in the 25 now, right? I could go in there and ask it when did they come up with this, calculation, when they figure that part out, but I'll do that, my own time. But so going back to over here, like I said, I don't believe it's a chariot, but it could be, I'm not the most high, right? But the chariots are real, and that's what I want to bring out. Like I said, the point was that I didn't find any information on Russia, and what they thought on actual chariots, because we know they're here, right? The scriptures say, all right, Psalm 68:17, the chariots of Yahweh Bashmiel Shah are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord Yahweh Bashmiel Shah is among them, as in Sinai in the holy place. So we know and understand that it was a chariot that was meeting Moses at the mountain, right? He went up and got the tablets, right? And then what happened? A fire. Basically, the tablets were sketched, with fire, basically from the chariot, and so that's what it's talking about here. The chariots of Yahweh Bashman are 20,000, even thousands of angels, right? And we understand and know that the angels are inside the chariots, right? Ezekiel 3, make sure. Ezekiel 1, actually. Right, Ezekiel 1, and All right, Ezekiel 1 and 3 says, the word of the Lord Yahweh Shai came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Shebar, and the hand of the Lord Yahweh Shai was there upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, at the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. And we even seen recently, in the news, chariots in the skies, right, resembling, fire, fireballs. People call them drones, and different things. But that's just the Most High Yahweh Bashmal Shah revealing Himself in these last days. The scriptures say that He will begin to draw, near to the people, in these last days because of prophecy being fulfilled, right? And also these are, what is it? Our way out, right? Pursuant to Matthew 24 and 30. So what they did also was boost the faith, you know, so the brothers, can be comforted. Second Ezra 9. What is it? Right. Second Ezra 9 and 1, it says, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest began to visit the world which he made. Right. And he's visiting the world, right, of course, with earthquake, storm, tempest, but also with his chariots. All right. And we're starting to see a lot more sightings of the chariots, right? And Esau is definitely, seeing a lot more sightings of the chariots because he has all the telescopes and the trackings and things like that. And it's only when the chariots allow Esau to see them. In recent, the elder brother Malcolm out of GMS Chicago went into a video about how they basically put a Fitbit inside of like a shark to track it around and see what it was doing. And then the temperature on that tracking device that was on the shark went from like 30 to 70, degrees. And, when you have to check the video out, when he went into it, basically he was going into Leviathan, right? The serpent that's in the waters. All right. And he was just pointing out that, the Most High Yahweh Bashmi Shai wanted Esau to see that so he can see the fear, he can show Esau what's waiting for him, what's coming for him, those things are actually out there. So it's the same thing with the chariots. That's why I got you, Zechariah 5 and 3 says, Then he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth, for everyone that stilleth shall be cut off, as on this side according to it, and everyone that soweth shall be cut off, as on that side according to it. Right? It says, I will bring it forth, said the Lord Yahweh shall host, and it shall enter in the house of the thief. Right? We got what John 10 and 10 says, the thief comes not, but to steal, kill, and destroy. Right? And that's the wicked. And the house of the thief is where? Here, America, Babylon the Great. This is his hub. Right? And the chariots are here. All right. So going back to Ezekiel 1 and 4, it says, And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself. And a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of four living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. Everyone had four faces, and everyone had four wings. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkle like the color of a burnished brass. Right, so these are angels, right? And we know that Yahweh Shai's skin was basically polished brass, right? As it burned in the fire, right? So these are the angels, and they are brown men, right? So let me go down a little bit. So Ezekiel 1 and 12, it says, And they went everyone straight forward, where the spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. So it's talking about the angels, right, inside the chariots. It says, As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps, it went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. It says, Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with its four faces. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a barley, and they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. And they went, when they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. Right. So this is describing the chariots, is describing how the chariots look. But right here in verse 17, we see how the chariots move. Right. And this is how when I get this little article right here, they describe it. Right. And we can see this kind of, when we see a chariot, we can see how the chariot move. It just moves, it just goes. And that's what's explaining here. Right. And that's when you see they come with this 3Iatlas and things like that. They describe it like this. They say, oh, there's no motor, there's no engine, it just moves. Right. Going back to at least this one. Right. This was the first one. This happened in 2017. Going back to this one, that's how they said it moves. Right. It says in verse Ezekiel 1 and 18, it says, As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and the rings were full of eyes round about them four. Right. So, if you have a chariot, it's just a circle, the rings will represent like the mirrors, the windows there, right? Just full around this wheel, you know. But we understand and know that the chariots, they can take many shapes from the eyewitnesses, right? We seen them as balls of fire engulfed, right? Um, you know, so it says, and when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up, the earth, the wheels were lifted up, right? So they basically moved together. It says, whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them, and the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. Right. So as we can see, the angels were inside these chariots. Right. And the scriptures tell us that he come. Revelation 1 and 7 says, and these clouds, right, represents the chariots. Revelation 1 and 7, it says, Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall well because of him, even so, amen. Right? And you have the word clouds, right? When you get Acts 1 and 9, when Yahushua was what? Taken up, we see that a cloud took him up. The ascension was ascension to basically to rise, to go up. It says Acts 1 and 9, and when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. Right. So it received Yahushua. It says, and while they looked steadfastly toward the heaven, so this cloud took him up to the heaven as he went up. So he went up in this cloud. It says, two men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushua, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. So what the scripture is telling us here, that Yahushua is going to come the same way that he left. And that's why I gave you Revelations 1 and 7. He's going to come with these clouds, and every eye shall see him. But these clouds are the curse that go before the earth, right? And they're coming to do damage. They're coming to raise up the elect and to also do damage. Now you get right here, Matthew 24 and 29, it says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And this is ultimately part of the nuclear missiles, right? The stars represent the nuclear missiles, right? It's going to shake the earth. The place is going to be dark because of the smoke. It says, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, because he's coming with these clouds, which are chariots, and they're going to have power, right? And it's going to be great glory. It says, and he shall send his angels, which are inside the chariots, which I gave in Ezekiel 1, with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other, inside those chariots, right? And ultimately going to take us to a fathership, right? It's on to second Ezra chapter 13, which I'll get later on, most likely. It says, So this is the article here. It's on Fox. It says how House witness testified UFOs nearly activated Russian nuclear missiles during 1982 incident. Now it says an investigative journalist George Knapp tells House task force about Soviet documents he obtained in the 1990s. Now this was published September 9th, 2025. All right, so this is the video. I'm gonna read it. I thought this was the Epstein list right there, but it's not. Anyway, it says a witness at a congressional hearing regarding uh, unidentified aerial phenomenon (UAPs) dropped an explosive allegation in 1982. Right, the Russians allegedly panicked over an unidentified flying object. Says George Knapp, an investigative journalist, testified Tuesday before a House Oversight Subcommittee hearing that back in the 1990s, he obtained Soviet documents allegedly indicating a UFO almost triggered World War III. According to Knapp, he obtained documents showing that an incident involving UFOs in 1982 almost caused Russia to launch intercontinental ballistic missiles, also known as ICBMs. There was an incident in October of 1982 over an ICBM base where UFOs popped up, was observed over this base, where the missiles are pointed at us, the United States. Knapp told the House Oversight Committee Task Force on the Declassification of Federal Secrets. Says these UFOs performed incredible maneuvers, Knapp said. They split apart, they fused back together, they appear and disappear. And right at the end, and this is nothing for Yahweh Shai, so I believe this, And they got video footage of how the chariots, move. We even seen in recent, news these chariots going in and out of the water, and different other things happening. It says, and right at the end of this 4-hour period, the launch control codes for the ICBMs lit up. Something entered the correct codes. The missiles were fired up and ready to launch, and they could not shut it down. Knapp said Russian officers began panicking, but the UFOs soon disappeared and the launch control system went back to normal. The personnel at the time could not figure out what caused the issue, he said. Knapp said the personnel did not blame EMPs, electromagnetic pulses, or power surges, or also the baloney excuses that the United States has given for similar events involving our nuclear missiles. Rather, he said they believed it was a message from whoever the UFOs had come from. It says that's a chilling thing. I mean, we were a couple of seconds away from World War III starting, and the UFOs are responsible for it, Knapp said. All right, and then, it says in addition to Knapp, several active duty and former U.S. military personnel shared their experiences with UAPs, because this was a big thing happening, right? We were seeing these things, flying around, people wanting answers, and these people that had to be basically hushed finally was able to speak on it, So I believe I got videos on that. Of course I do. I got videos on my page, the UAPs, the chariots of the Lord, the Yahweh Shai, right? It says additionally, Chief Alexandro Wiggins, an active duty U.S. Navy officer who testified in his personal capacity, recalled what's known as the TikTok incident. He testified that the UAP showed no conventional propulsion signatures when leaving the scene, right? So this one is, it's just moving around, by itself. It's moving like something we never seen before. And it's pretty much the same thing they're saying with, the 3Iatlas and this one right here, But ultimately, we know that the chariots are out there. They are real, right? And we do know that they're going to come here, pick up the leg, also shoot forth these fire beams, right, upon planet Earth. Habakkuk 3 and just get it from one. The prayer of Habakkuk, the prophet, upon Siganoth. O Lord Yahweh Bashmiel Shai, I have heard thy speech and was afraid. O Lord Yahweh Bashmiel Shai, revive thy work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years, make known and wrath and the mercy. And pretty much this is, us, the Israelites, coming back together, right, to who we are. And of course, the Most High is pretty much going to come and destroy, right, and make a destruction to this place. So it says, and wrath and the mercy. I'll grab this in the NOT. T says, I have heard all about you, Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai. I am filled with awe by your amazing works. In this time of deep need, help us again as you did in years gone by. And in your anger, remember your mercy. All right. It says, Yahweh Bashem Shai came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran, Selah. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. And we know, pursuant to the scriptures, that Yahweh Shai is going to go over there uh, in the east, right, in the Levant region during World War III and destroy the armies, right, of the nations, and then make his way over to the west to, collect his elect here because nuclear missiles will be shot, right? All right. It says, and his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hands, and there was the hiding of his power. So, mind you, he's coming with these chariots. All right. He's coming with these chariots, and right here in Second Ezra chapter 13, it says that he's going to be shooting forth. I'll just get it from the point is in 4, right? It's Second Ezra chapter 13:1. And it came to pass after 7 days I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. Now I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heavens. And when so he's coming with a lot of chariots. It says, when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth fell when it filled with fire. Yeah, and these are going to be coming from the chariots. All right. It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of the number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had raised himself a great mountain and flew upon it. Now, this is a fathership or a gigantic chariot. It says, but I would have seen the region or place where out the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this, I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, and yet there's fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude, so this is in World War III, right over there in the Levant region near Israel. It says, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. So mind you, he's going to be in this great fathership that you've seen, along with all the other chariots are going to be in those, all the angels are going to be in their chariots, and they're going to be shooting forth their fire beams, right? Right? Let me grab this NLT. Habakkuk 3 and 4 NLT says, his coming is as brilliant as the sunrise. Right? That's the glory and the brightness of his coming. It says, rays of light flash from his hands where his awesome power is hidden, right? Ultimately inside those chariots, right? From those chariots. It says, before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. All right. It says, he stood and measured the earth. He beheld and drove asunder the nations, which he comes to destroy the nations, and the everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills did bow. His ways are everlasting. So the mountains represent like big governments. The little hills represent smaller governments. They did bow because we understand that he's coming to set up an everlasting kingdom, right? Isaiah 66 and 15 says, for behold, the Lord Yahweh Basmael shall come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord Yahweh Basmael shall plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord Yahweh Basmael shall be many. All right, Luke. Right here, Luke 12 and 49. I'll grab it NLT. Luke 12:49 NLT says, I have come to set the world on fire, and I wish it were already burning. Let me show the AMP says, I have come to cast fire judgment on the earth, and how I wish that it were already kindled. Yeah, so ultimately Yahweh Bashmal Shah is coming to set fire to this place, right, in judgment, to destroy with the chariots, fire beams, and pick up his elect and all of that. So, as you can see, the chariots of the Lord Yahweh Bashmal Shah are real, pursuant to the scriptures, right? Let me grab this one right here, and I just wanted to go over that. All right, 2 Kings 6:15 says, and when the servant of the man of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, was risen early and going forth, behold, an host compassed the city, both with horses and chariots. And his servant said unto him, alas, my master, how shall we do? And he answered, fret not, fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And Elisha prayed and said, Lord Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountains was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. So as you can see, these were the angels, right? And they were around about, like fire. Right? It says, so those are the chariots, and they're everywhere. Sometimes you don't see them, but they're there. The angels are watching. All right. So ultimately, that's all I had. Lord willing, you will edify from the lesson. Shalom, 12 for elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.